Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the European crossover webinar. And we're seeing the dollar strengthen a bit here as we start the week out. Obviously, we got the tariff issue with that appears to have been resolved, and we did expect the peso to push lower. In the analysis, we talked about it coming down to potentially this 1923.6. Which and you expecting a bit of an overshoot. Boy, did we get an overshoot, because we actually made it down here to 1914, but not to be certainly to be expected. See the dollar going rebound here. We got some good resistance here at this 96.91 actually, which confluences here with the trend line. Let's go and move into here. You can see that we're bumping right up here against this 96.91. We came right into our 38%. Remember, that was our target to start the week out when we did the analysis exactly 1 week ago today. That was our target, 38%, the 96.63. Even came down here. Now, bias chart was for Monday. For Monday. Can't even talk. A moment. Our bias chart was for dollar index. Bias chart for Friday was 96.51. We took that out by just, what was it? Maybe, looks like 3 pips or maybe 4 pips. And so that area held up very well. Certainly didn't want to get in the way of the euro. On Friday. But like I said, we've certainly gone and pulled back. Certainly we've seen some dollar strength come back in also as a resolution, as I mentioned, with the peso. Certainly got things cooking along that way. So what we'll do is we'll go on and move into the news. There isn't a whole lot, and actually even on the checking economic events, there's not really anything there today. So obviously a chance for this to wind back a little bit. Be careful with this dollar. Like I said, it is right into resistance here. There's our, we look at our bias chart. Analysis already I can show you right there. Comes in at that 96. Says the dollar slide on Friday broke the uptrend. Exponential moving averages are in sell mode. You can see that. The index defended Friday's bias chart support, 95.51, confluencing with 96.63 to 38%. Support is found at the pivot level of 96.24, followed by 96.06. Resistance is 96.61 with the broken trend line. Confluencing with the broken trend line. Well, we just hit 96.61, so be a little bit careful there if you played the dollar on the long side. Let's go on and move into the news. May succession race heats up. The race to succeed Theresa May is as head of the Conservative Party and Prime Minister gathered pace at the weekend. Frontrunner Boris Johnson promoted tax cuts for high earners and threatened not to pay Britain's dues on leaving the EU, something France declared was tantamount to a debt default. Other contenders rushed to confess past dalliances with Class A drugs, no doubt spurred on by fears that such exploits would be subject to media leaks by rivals anyhow. All of which suggests the next few weeks will not be a demonstration of politics and moderation. Party bosses will formally announce those candidates nominated for the contest this weekend. This evening. Italian Prime Minister Giuseppe Conte is due to meet leaders of the two coalition parties, Matteo Salvini and Luigi Di Maio, to discuss future direction of the government after months of political infighting. On the table, we've got a possible cabinet reshuffle on Italy's response to the growing standoff with Brussels over Italy's debt mountain. Okay, moving on. World markets caught a Mexican wave the first thing on Monday after U.S. and Mexican negotiators reached a deal late Friday and averted a series of threatened U.S. tariffs due to an alleged lack of migration curbs. Together with pumped up expectations of U.S. interest rate cuts over the next couple of months, encouraged by news on Friday of U.S. job growth last month at less than have consensus forecasts. Global equity markets continued to rally from late last week. U.S. and European stock futures were up about 4/10 first thing, with Mexican deals seen as a one step in repairing trade rows that economists fear could tip the U.S. and global economies into recession in 2020. Mexican's peso has surged more than 2%. Another sketchy on details about let's see, on about exactly what Mexico promised to prompt to President Trump to drop his planned series of 5% tariffs. The deal showed Washington was willing compromise and raised hopes of that a similar meeting of minds between Washington and Beijing could still be possible by G20 summit later this month. A notice from U.S. officials granting Chinese exporters 2 more weeks to get their products to the United States before raising tariffs on those items supports those hopes and has speculation that Trump will eventually pull back from his trade wars to avoid a full-blown domestic recession in his reelection year. Probably reflecting a degree of Chinese front-loading exports to beat those impending tariff rises, Chinese exports unexpectedly rose more than 1% in May, although weakness in the domestic economy was underlined by an 8.5% drop in imports, which was more than twice the decline expected. However, the optimism surrounding the trade detente and U.S. monetary easing was enough to lift Shanghai stock 0.6 and Hong Kong more than 2%. Japan's Nikkei rose at more than 1%, with the first quarter Japanese GDP revised a touch higher at 2.2. Elsewhere, the dollar rebounding for Friday's post-payrolls lay with lows with dollar yen at the highest in 10 days and a euro dollar at a touch just above 110. 10-year Treasury yields were higher at 2.135, with the inverted yield curve between the 3 months and 10 months less negative at minus 14. 10-year German yields were also higher at minus 24 basis points from a record low minus 26 basis points. After last week's dovish ECB meeting, with many European senators closed for a holiday on Monday. Italian sovereign debt spreads with Germany lightened their lowest in more than a month as Italy's Giuseppe Conte warned ruling coalitions parties to resolve their differences. Let's go and move on to FX. So like I said, it's fairly light calendar here, folks. Mexican peso jumps on U.S.-Mexican deal, and the yuan dips to 2019 lows. The Mexican peso jumped against the dollar on Monday after the United States and Mexico struck a migration deal last week to avert a tariff war. Over the past year, the trade disputes between the U.S. and its trading partners included a long-running conflict with China, have slowed global growth, and unsettled financial markets. Chinese exports unexpectedly returned in growth in May despite the higher U.S. tariffs, data showed on Monday, but many suspected the rise was due to firms of front-loading shipments to avoid higher U.S. tariffs. The Mexican peso rose 2% after trading resumed for the first time after Mexico agreed on Friday to expand along the entire border a program that sends migrants seeking asylum in the U.S. to Mexico. President Trump had threatened to impose 5% tariffs. We all know that Trump was unpredictable, but this was taking it to a whole new level, said Chris Weston. This was political. It was social. It meant the financial markets had to wear a higher risk premium. Futures with S&P 5s were up 0.2% against the safe haven yen. The dollar gained 0.25% to 108.47. The yen gained in late May. Bart Wakabayashi, Tokyo branch manager, said the lift to sentiment to the U.S.-Mexico deal would probably spill over into optimism with China, hopefully some progress there. Still, the dollar's gains were checked by rising expectations the Fed will cut interest rates during the second half of the year. Those views were bolstered on Friday when data showed non-farm payrolls increased by 75,000 jobs last month, much smaller than the 185,000 additions estimated by economists in the Reuters poll. The market is saying it's not a question it is a question of when and to what extent we're going to get a rate cut this year, said Pepperstone's Weston. Group of 20 finance leaders said on Sunday that trade and geopolitical tensions have intensified, raising risk to improving global growth, but they stopped short of calling for a resolution of the deepening U.S. trade conflict. So with that, let's go on and move on into the news. But the analysis. So it's a relatively quiet day. So let's take a look at the Eurodollar. Okay, the euro finished the past week with a bang, challenging our stretch resistance at 1343, while closing above the bias chart resistance at 1324. Immediate upside target is 1372, confluence with 1377 to 38% of 1108 to 1815, and 1378 is 78% of 1108 to 1448. Support is 1293, followed by 1252. So we just hit the 1293. We just dipped just below, and we just showed you where we had the 38%. Like I said, the dollar to be expected a little bit higher to start the morning out, as we've seen the peso issue with the tariffs resolved. And we said 1293 followed by 1252. And let's take a look here. Well, here's the 38% we're talking about. This 50% looks like a nice little area too, also coming in here. So let's consume where we're at now. Let's take a little bit closer look. Well, like I said, we already said 1293, so let's stick with this 1293 for now. We could slide a little bit further. Let's also get rid of these. We got 1293, which is pretty decent here. We'll actually give it, because we're seeing the dollar a little bit under pressure. Not the dollar, I mean the euro. We may be able to push even a little bit further. That was our initial support off of this low, but we've already pushed it a little bit. 1293. That's a good area, but we'll go with the 1293 for now. Although this overall, I like this area, this 1278. 1278. So let's go. For today, that's our bias chart and we start the week out. And I think that's a good area for right now, but I like this 1278 on a dip back. And once again, let's go back. Let's look at a couple of things. We've got, like I said, starting out the week. So looking at this 12, see if we can't get some confluence. So we got the 38%. I posted that. Not a bad area for a little bounce here, but like I said, the dollar's got its own thing going today. So 1274 is a 50%. Now let's go and move this back to the more deeper lows. That's also the 23%. Wow, decent, nice confluence there. The 1298, 1291 being the 38% of the most recent move back. That's the from the ECB low to Friday's high, and then 1291 is the 23% from 1107. And you see there's a 1256 Yeah, I like this area right there. That is very good. 1278. 1278. Right there. You can get the dollar to get a little bit stronger there. Let's go and move into cable. Cable has found a bottom, aided by the dollar slide. The upside appears restrained, with resistance at 28.25, followed by 28.95. Confluence with 28.73, which is a 78%. Support is 26.82, followed by 26.44. So we're liking that 26.82. Pull this back. Now let's go on and put. We'll see this dollar pair back just a bit. Let's go right. See there? For day, let's go with 27.44. Now we've seen the euro just move up to 113. The Aussie dollar is moving off the lows, freed of the shackles of the RBA. Immediate resistance is 70.27, followed by 70.70. Confluence with 70.75 to 23% of the move, and you can see that here, right there. It's very nice resistance. Support is 69.60, followed by 69.36. Well, we've just hit the 69.60. Looks like right there. We just hit it. We'll go with that. We'll stay with that, 69.60. And let's go with 70.27 for our resistance. I think we had that marked off. Yeah, we sure did. Still very bearish. We'll move into the Kiwi. The Kiwi has continued to push higher after breaking the severe downtrend line. Immediate resistance is 69.91, followed by 67.26. Confluence to 67.26 is the 50%. Support is 66.12, followed by 65.76. Well, we just about hit the 66.12, so we'll stick with that, 66.12. And resistance, 66.91. Well, man, this dollar CAD got whacked like nobody's business. You remember a week ago, we were way up in here. We were still sitting at 35. And I mentioned in the analysis this poor bar on Friday, and that if we got a daily close below 34.77, which we did on Monday, it'd be a straight up sell. So henceforth, you saw the follow through. And we'll go on and mark this here. After repeated failures to grab a foothold above the elusive 35, that's 04, that's what we kept calling it, the bulls were sent running for the hills in a thorough liquidation. Support comes in at 32.36, followed by 31.88. Resistance is 33.29. Let's see. Oh, we just about made it to 32.30. We got to 32.37, so I guess we were off a pip. So that's today's support. One moment. Resistance. It appears right now 32.95, but let's. Oh, by the way, I saw Amanda post that, and that's correct. We do have UK data coming out here. And that's GDP, industrial output. Boy, got a slew of GDP data coming out in the next few minutes. If anyone wants to look. We'll go move this out of the way. Let's take a look on the, and we'll actually keep that data up as we get ready for the move. So hold on. Boy, they really knocked this thing good but good. Well, from the daily, it's looking like 32.95. That's what they're seeing initially. I think we could eventually push up a little bit higher, which on the 2 hour, we've got 33.08. Let's see what we can see on a fib. Yeah, and 33.14 would be the 23%. So let's go with 33.08. Definitely has gone and turned bearish. Definitely. Let's go on and move into the cable. We do have quite a bit of data here. Let's go and pop up the... Oh, we got 27.44. That's pretty close where we're at. Hang on. Not that far away. We're about 2.5 minutes away from data. Quite a bit of data, too. Looking here. Well, that's really found that resistance at 58. We'll see how far they can go and push themselves up. We talked about a little bit further is this 28.25 here, saying cables found about a by the dollar slide. The upside appears restrained with resistance at 28.25 followed by 28.95. That's a pretty big jump up in here. For right now, we're just looking at this 27.56 or 27.58. But we have our initial one is right here. We put it here at 27.44. But there's a little bit more here at this 27.58. Slow data. Let's see what kind of a reaction we can go and get on this. Data in less than half a minute. Okay, there we go. Reuters pretty fast, right on the dot, dot. There we go. GDP, Reuters polls for 4/10, 3/10. Services flat. They were expecting lower. Oh, actually, previously was 1/10 lower. Industrial output down 0.7. Well, actually, down minus 2.7. So a little bit of slide here. Reuters polls were down 0.7. Manufacturing output, Reuters poll for minus 1%. We're down minus 3.9%. A lot of uncertainty, I guess, going into the all this row issues that there have been. Manufacturing output, construction output. Trade relatively quiet. I mean, we didn't see much of a reaction at all whatsoever. But we do have our support here, 2682. With that, let's go and move on. Coming into today, we do have housing starts, Canadian housing starts. At 8:15 a.m. Let's go and move on to the peso. The tariff situation appears to have been averted. A potential fall to key level 1923 is likely, with initial support at 1942, followed by 1936. Resistance is 1967, but boy, did we slide. And we slid like nobody's business. But here's that 1923.6. Obviously, we've even gone beyond that. Let's take a look here on the 2-hour. Also, right there, you see that? That's 1912.85. Well, actually, it looks like that's where they went to. Look at that. See that right there? They just about made it there. So let's call it 1912.8. Got 1913. Some is actually low there. Let's call it right there, 1911.9. Let's go with 1912. But it got a little hammer right now. Resistance, well, resistance is going to be, well, I was going to say that 23.6, which is, well, there we go. See right there, that's where they just ran out of gas. 23.8. We'll stick with that 1923.6. That was a pretty big number. Pretty good level before. That's where they kept failing at. So that makes sense that that's where they would stop at. Let's go and move into the dollar yen. Despite the positive run-up in U.S. equities, the dollar yen is playing the role of the canary in the coal mine, suggesting a gloomier outlook for the long haul. The bearish target is 676. Initial support is 767. Confluence was 760. Resistance is 876. Well, folks, we just got to 871.5. We'll go with this 876 for right now. That's what we said we're going to go with. So it's going to be 876. Now let's go and take a look at the 2-hour chart. a short-term basis, we've got 836, which is not that far away. But you can see more comes in right there. 826. Well, we'll go with this 836. Got that marked off, so let's go with that 836. Thinking they'll try and hold most of their gains today. And let's move into the cash dollar index. The dollar slide on Friday broke the uptrend line. Exponential moving averages are in sell mode. You can see that right here. The index defended Friday's bias chart support at 95.51, confluence with 96.63, which is a 38%. Remember, as I mentioned at the top of the hour, that was our target 1 week ago. It was 96.63 at 38%. The support is found at the pivot level of 96.24. You can see that a little bit lower, followed by 96.06. Resistance is 96.91, confluence with the broken trend line. You can see that here. So there's your initial resistance, 96.91. We'll stick with that for right now. That 96.91. We can take a look at it on a 2-hour, see how much further we could stretch. Certainly, it's very oversold. We had the 96.91. Just like the euro, we had the 96.93. We're giving it in case the dollar wants to overshoot a little bit. And really, that 96.91 is also the 23% back. Let's give it some extra credit because of the, not extra credit, but a little bit of allowance because of the verting the whatchamacallit tariffs. May give it a little bit of extra juice. So let's go, let's knock this out. Right there, 97.11. I'll give it in case they decide to move and get that 97.11. Go there. Might be able to get a little extra room there. And it is quite oversold. Let's go into the cross rates. The New Zealand dollar yen closed above the 72 cents level, allowing for a short-term bottom. The pair remains in a sell mode. You can see it bumping up against exponential moving average. Resistance is 72.83, confluencing with 73. Support is 71.45. So you can see here we Nice little level, that key 72. Now, we were able to close above it, but it's struggling there, and that is the upper exponential moving average here. I put here down here to 71.45. That's if we see the yen further strengthen, but everything is a little bit working a little bit positive with the version of the tariff. So for today, we'll go. I think 71.45 is key, but for today, we'll go with this 71.67. And resistance is going to be right there. If we get a move on, I don't think we will, though, initially. 72.38. Move on to the euro yen. The euro yen is put in a short-term bottom, but it has key resistance at 22.64. A successful daily close above should open the first target run for 23.32 level. Confluence with 23.34, the 38%. Market remains in a sell mode, though. Support is 21.95 on a daily close. So we're kind of fidgeting around here. We actually pushed up a little bit higher. Got some nice touches coming along here. Actually, that's where they ran out of gas. You see that? 22.89. See all these touches coming across, and that's where it closed. That's where it opened, and then that confluence is there. So for right now, for today, let's go with 22.89. Support. Let's take a look here. That's a good little area, that 22.89. Oh, nice level come across there. You see that? 22.26. It's quite a ways to fall back, though. But we'll go with that. Boy, really have to come off. It has the opportunity to come off. Look at that from 89. We already dropped 29 from there. Look at that. Obviously, there'll be some initial support coming in. Nice volume coming in right there. For right now, let's go with this 22.45. Let's go there. Look at that euro odd really adding on now. The euro odd has successfully defended the key level 60.95 and breaking above a short-term trend line. An upside challenge of 62.62 is in the cards with a pause at 62 even. Support is 61.32 followed by 61.95. exponential moving averages remain supportive. Look at this right here. Look how they've been holding that on the slower exponential moving average. So that's what I'm saying. It's open to go to 62.62. So let's go with that, 62.62. Now we're going to run a little bit of trouble in here where we had right in there, really got some nice resistance even coming in there at 15, but really 62.37 is probably, you can see that coming across right there. Initially, actually, that's why they ran out of gas. Look at that, 62.37. So a little bit of a pause there, but it looks like certainly we want to make that run to 62.62 and see if they can push beyond that. Support. It's going to be 61.67. It's going to move into the Euro New Zealand. Euro New Zealand is in a holding pattern for the time being. A daily close below 69.44 will shift the bias to a sell mode. Upside resistance is 70.98. Well, I don't see any reason to go and change that. We're going to go with 70.98. As far as support, $70.24. Allow this dollar to make a little run going into today with the, averting the tariffs. We may push a little bit further on this cash dollar index. So once again, that 97.11 area here, euro like, I think we had 12.77. That's possible. Hang on a moment. Let's go and move into the Aussie Yen. The Aussie Yen is treading water. The pair has failed to respond to the positive equity move, suggesting the yen is playing the role as the canary in the coal mine. Support is 74.73, resistance at 76.69. On a very, okay, here's that 76.69. Let's take a look at it on a 2-hour chart so we can get something a little bit closer. We're going to go with this 75.85 here. On a short-term basis, right there. Called 75.38. Let's move on to the guppy. The sterling yen has found some support at the 37 level amidst the death spiral. Some continuous short covering driven by sterling-friendly news has a potential to 39.17. Downside support is 36.77. Well, we looked at the news and the economic data, and it wasn't that friendly. That being said, so let's just go with the resistance right here at this level right there, which is 38.20. And support, looks like that 37. Probably right there. You see that? There, 37.57, but we'll take a look at it on the 2 hour. Touch a little further. Yep, 37.57 if we just drop it right there. Well, for some extra touches. 37.57. And sterling odd. Sterling odd is stuck in neutral for now. Support is 81.48, followed by a major 80.89. Pair needs a daily close above 82.54 to generate further upside interest. So let's take a look here on the 2 hour. On a very short-term basis, right here, right there, I'll call it 81.85. Upside right there, 82.48. Okay, as mentioned, let's give this dollar a chance. Potentially can get up to 97.11 here. The euro could slide down here by 12.77. But like I said, the dollar, it's its day to shine a little bit. A lot of how oversold it is. And also, let's take a look also on the move back up. Yeah, 97.19 would be the 38%. Okay. Right there, 97.19, 38%. Well, let's go with that 97.11. We can get a little bit of a bounce back. But that's what we have for the European crossover webinar. Thanks for joining us here, and good luck trading.